Good evening. How are you? I hope everyone is still in the game. I suggest you drink a glass of water, stretch your body, and stay still because we are yet to uncover and explore more on the field of linguistics. I am Mr. Steve Trosio Corsino, and welcome to my class. So, our focus this evening is the other phases of phrases. In the previous discussion, we focused on verb phrases. We also focus on determiner phrases. This time in my report, we will continue with the other phases of phrases. First, we will talk about noun phrases, adjective phrases, and the prepositional phrases. But before we will proceed to the next, let us focus first on syntactic constituents. So what is a sentence? We know that syntax is the study of sentence. And we know that a sentence are made up by words. There is a structure to the sentence, and the structure in the sentence has an order. But there is also hierarchy. In other structure, we had added morpheme level within the word. There is a smaller structure in a sentence level in the sense that a sentence is not just the random sequence of words. Actually, words sometimes, before becoming a part of the sentence, they are organized into smaller units. And then, it's only those units that become part of the sentence. So you see, there is the hierarchy that first, your word become part of the sentence. But before becoming part of the sentence, they may become part of the unit. That unit will be part of the sentence. So those units are important in themselves in the sense that they are also something that can be studied in syntax. And those units have a name called constituents. So these constituents then come together and they make up the sentence. Again, going back to the constituents are used to start at word level. You say the words are the building blocks of sentences. You have the sentence level. You can think of constituents as an intermediary level between word level and sentence level. To put it in other words, sentence have a constituent structure. Now let us analyze this sentence. Somebody who saw everyone in the organization says that John interviewed Bob. So this is a complex sentence. There is a big sentence, and within the sentence, there is a smaller sentence. You can just say, somebody says that John interviewed Bob. But then, you can qualify somebody with who saw everyone in the organization. This one way you can expand a simple sentence into a complex sentence, since you can apply it infinitely. Theoretically, there is an infinite number of sentences, even starting with this. So here in the sentence, somebody who saw everyone in the organization is a unit. Therefore, it is a constituent. How did you know it is a constituent? For one, you know that it has independent unit. So, you know that you can take it out of the sentence. It still works. Same with the sentence, John interviewed Bob. It is still a constituent since it is a systematically or semantically independent unit. The same with the phrase everyone in the organization, still it is a constituent. It is a semantically independent unit. But If you say organization says that it is not a constituent, it is not semantically independent unit. In other words, the constituents may have a hierarchical structure within the sentence. This means that some constituents, together with each other, may form a bigger constituents first before becoming part of the sentence. This time, let us go back about noun phrases. We know that most of the time, noun phrases are a combination of determiner plus a noun. But there are also cases where noun phrases can be a noun. For example, John is lazy. John is considered as a noun phrase. Pronoun can also be considered as a noun phrase. He is scared. He there is considered as a noun phrase. Sometimes a noun phrase can also be a combination of a noun phrase plus a prepositional phrase. There are also cases where noun phrases can be a combined noun phrase plus relative clause. So these are some of the examples of noun phrases. 73A, student. 73B, brilliant student. 73C, student with long hair. Letter D, student of physics. We also have student of physics with long hair. Description. Description of Bill. Gifts of candy to the children. Claim that John stole her purse. Now, how do we know, or how did we know that these examples are constituents? We can apply the constituency test. Constituency test is a replacement of pronoun. We can actually use to replace the pronoun one to see whether this particular phrase or noun phrase is a constituent. Brilliant student. In this case, we replace student with the pronoun one, and we say, I saw the brilliant one. We know that student is a constituent because we can apply the constituency test, which is replacing student with the pronoun one. The same with brilliant student with long hair. We can actually replace the word student with one, such as I saw the brilliant one with long hair. We can also replace the brilliant student with the pronoun one. So this is also correct when we say I saw the one with long hair. By applying this constituency test, we know that brilliant student is a constituent. But there is a different result if we try to apply one in this particular sentences. Let's say, I saw the physics student. So it's wrong to say that the physics will be replaced by the word, the student will be replaced by the word one, because here physics was not a noun phrase. It is an N or a noun part of a compound. So we have an adjunct complement distinction in NPs of physics is a complement, while with long hair is an adjunct. An adjunct in English is a word or phrase or clause that modifies something in a sentence and can be taken out of it without changing its core meaning. There is only 2 NPs in student of physics, but there are 5 NPs or noun phrases in student with long hair. This is reflected in the number of NP nodes in the trees that you are seeing now. Apart from the number of NPs here, these trees have some other features that we have not justified yet. First, we have indicated that the complements of the prepositions in these structures are DPs. It is easy, or determiners, determiner phrase. It is easy to see that they satisfy your constituency test for DPs, replacement by pronouns, etc. And since there is no overt D in this sentence, or in these DPs, we have taken the step of putting in an empty D, a step analogous to the assumption of empty affixes, and again something we should justify. These issues will be discussed more again, something we should, or these issues will be discussed more later, but for the moment, the main point is that there are n complements and n adjuncts, just as there are v complements and v adjuncts. There is another way in which adjuncts can often reliably be identified, similar to what we saw in the case of verbs. Consider this example. The big student of physics with long hair in the library. Are these four bracketed constituents arguments or adjuncts? It is possible to say of this thing that it is X if X in an adjunct, but not otherwise. This provides a different way to help decide whether a constituent is a complement or an adjunct. So, it is big is a complement. Big is a complement of it. With long hair is an adjunct of it is an adjunct. It is of physics is not a correct sentence. It is in the library is an adjunct. In sum, D requires a complement with an N. So we say N is the head of the NP. As for internal structure, we notice that of physics is a natural complement for student, but not natural for the noun Sulid, and that adjuncts, like with long hair, are possible with student, but awkward with the noun description. So the adjuncts and complements depend on the choice of N. Again, we conclude that N is the head of NP. So it's okay to say gift of candy to children, but it's wrong to say student of candy to children. In other words, complements of N can be prepositional phrases or CPs. Adjuncts in NP can be found to the left, example, adjectives, or the right, example, prepositional phrases. Other adjuncts include complex APs, like NP or NP man, AP, which is fond of cookies, and restrictive relative clauses, which are CPs, as in man, CP who is fond of cookies. This time, we will focus on adjective phrases. So here are some of the examples of adjective phrases. Sad, very sad, proud of Bill, extremely fan of cookies, interesting to Wales, proud that Mary succeeded. So all of these can occur, for example, in the frame using he is. So we say, he is sad. He is very sad. He is proud of Bill. He is extremely fond of cookies. He is interesting to Wales. He is proud that Mary succeeded. So we will assume that the prepositional phrases in the sentence, he is proud of Bill, he is extremely fond of cookies, and he is interesting to Wales are complements, as is the complementizer phrase in he is proud that Mary succeeded, and that we will take expressions of degree like very and extremely to be adjuncts. In our discussion of morphology, we notice that the verbal suffixes -i or -i and -is may combine with adjectives to form verbs. We can now ask, what kind of adjectives do they combine with? It appears that these suffixes can only combine with certain intransitive, as ones that do not take complements, cited by D. Sholo and Fong 2000. So let us take this example. They are intense. So we added the adjective intense with suffix -i. So it would be intensified. They intensified. So it's wrong to say they are intense of Bill. Another, they are special. It's wrong to say they are special of Bill, but you add I or -i to the adjective special to make it a verb, which is they specialize. Many affixes form adjectives. Example, able is combined with verbs to form adjectives. So let's say they read the paper. So we added able to read, and that makes the verb become an adjective. So we say the paper is readable. And it's wrong to say it is readable or it is readable of the paper. So let us proceed with prepositional phrases. Examples of prepositional phrases are up the rope, in the south, from the country, from under the rug, right against the grain, exactly under the tree, before John came. So some elements of this category take no complement at all, as the of looked up. Other may take as complement of determiner phrases or prepositional phrases, or perhaps even TPs, as in the last example. So in summary, we could say that adjectives or adjective phrases appear to be adjuncts for n or nouns. The adjectives also vary in the requirement on what can appear eternal to their APs. So adjectives also allow adjuncts very and extremely. Prepositions vary too. So prepositions also allow adjuncts. Right? Just. This week's survey reveals a number of general properties of constituents that will be important later. So in every of the categories we have looked at, the complements, if any, follow the head, and the subject, if any, precedes the head. For all categories X of heads, there is a regularity about what kind of phrase is formed. A head of X always forms an X or XP after combining with its complement. So I just do hope that you have learned something about the different phrases, specifically noun phrases, adjective phrases, and prepositional phrases. Again, I am Mr. Steve Trosio Corsino, saying goodbye, thank you, and may God bless us all.